Hello and welcome to Tuesday Tips Live with me, Phil Morse, here in the Digital DJ Tips studio. Let's look at the right camera to start this off. Now, this here is something you're going to want a little bit later on, so I'll tell you all about that when we get to that point. But meanwhile, if you're just joining us and you're new to all of this and you're wondering what's going on, we are Digital DJ Tips. This is our book, Rock the Dance Floor. Our mission is to help you become better DJs and better DJ producers. We do that through our schools, we do that through our website, we do that through all the reviews and show reports. In fact, I'm off to ADE in Amsterdam in just a few minutes at the end of this. But we also do it on a Tuesday, and that's why I'm here now in the Digital DJ Tips studio with our Tuesday Tips live broadcast, when I bring you something to help you in your DJing. It could be something about gear, could be something about music, whatever. But I guess that you've worked out it's about gear today, because we started off with a picture of an old piece of DJ gear, and that's what it's all about. We're talking about 5 pieces of old DJ gear that could really help you and that could be a better buy than something new, right? So I've got some old gear here. We're going to talk through all the old gear I've got kicking around. So we're going to be talking about all of that today. Now, at the end, we have got something very special for you. If you didn't see the link I had on the screen at the beginning there, you weren't quick enough to write it down, don't worry, I'll be telling you all about it again at the end. It's pretty awesome competition, a prize draw that we've got for you in conjunction with Beatport and Pioneer DJ. So keep your eyes open for that at the end of this broadcast. Lasts about half an hour, this broadcast. So if you're watching on YouTube thinking get to the point, it's because you're watching the recording. And the way you can join in live and not watch the recording is to subscribe. So subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff, and then you'll be notified when we go live. Same on Facebook, like the page, and then click show posts first and make sure your notifications are on, and you'll know when we're going live and you can join in live. This is about half an hour long. We're going to take all your comments over there. I can see lots of them coming in already. So this is a long show. I'm just warning you if you're watching the recording and thinking, get to the point. All right then, so new people, welcome. Existing people, welcome too. We're talking about 5 pieces of DJ gear that are still worth your time here in 2019. All the new stuff's coming out. I'm off to ADE to no doubt see a load of new gear very soon. But you know what? There's lots of pieces of DJ gear out there that are still very well worth your time, and they might actually be a better choice for you. So we're going to talk about 5 of them right now. We're going to start off with the one that we had on the screen right at the beginning. It's this here. It's the Denon DJ MC-6000 controller. Now this came out in August 2010. That's nearly 10 years ago. But it's still going strong, and if you can get one, it could be a really good buy for you. It's a solid build. It's got it's a real solid metal chassis. It works perfectly with virtual DJ and Traktor. It works really well with virtual DJ video because it's got a video crossfader that you can switch between video and audio. So if you're a virtual DJ, mobile DJ, this could be really good for you. As I say, it works with Traktor. It's got great sound quality. It lacks a few things over today's controllers. You'll notice that there's no real hot cue pads there. They are there, but they're just tucked up above those jog wheels. The jog wheels are quite small. In fact, the whole controller is quite cramped. But nonetheless, if you can find a Denon DJ MC-6000 today, it could be a really good purchase for you. And indeed, the truth about this one is that there's a lot of DJs still using them. There's a lot of mobile DJs still using these. There might be little controllers, but you'll see one in a flight case looking all cool. You know, flight cases can make any small pieces of gear look professional, but they are underneath a very professional controller. 2 mic channels, lots of outputs like booth and balanced and unbalanced for your master outputs and stuff. A great controller, the Denon DJ MC-6000. Not even the Mark II, although the Mark II's out there and that's really good too, but a lot of people still using the Mark I and preferring it. So that will retail now about $400. If you can find one secondhand in good condition, about $400. So a great controller for the money there. So that's the number 1 of our 5 bits of DJ gear that you should possibly consider in 2019, even though some of these are really, really old. Some of them are really old, as you're about to find out. But let's go to your comments before we go any further, because I can see loads of them coming in over here on the comment cam. So hello to everyone. Hello to Patrick, who says, inner fader in the house. Glad you've popped up, Patrick. Make sure you're by your computer in about 45 minutes. We need to chat. Hello to RJ Bowens and Stage on YouTube. Hi to Manico, who's on Facebook. Hi to DJ Byrne in South Africa. Mike in New York City. Matt says 1210s for the win. we'll get on to the 1210s in just a minute. Matt. Josh says, Phil is a man. Oh, that's very kind of you, Josh. So lots of you just saying hello. Hi to Neil, Anthony, Trey, Rodrigo, Michael. DJ Arnold says, we looked as usual. We enjoy the lessons. I'm not sure what that means, but it's got the word enjoy in it. So that will do me. Thank you, DJ Arnold. Hello to Tim, who suggests the Vestax PCV 175. So we really are digging back there. What a brand Vestax were, eh, Tim? And another Vestax PCM 37 from Ivan there, so thank you for that. All right then, good morning to Michael in Kingston, Jamaica. Always good to have you here. Loads of local, I call you locals, I call you regulars, that's probably better. Lots of regulars on here today. Gary actually says here, I absolutely swear by the Denon DJ MC-6000 Mk2. I've tried so many others and nothing compares for me personally. Yeah, the Mk2 is an awesome controller as well. And Neil says, that was actually my first controller, but for me, also the Mk2 takes the edge. So look, the Denon DJ MC-6000 Mk1 or Mk2 are great controller to go for, even though they're quite old nowadays, if you are looking for something to play out, especially mobile, where you need lots of inputs and outputs. John says, hello from Spain, Marbella. Hello, John, not so far from us down here in Gibraltar. Manico says, when referring to old gear, some companies like Newmark have been very innovative, but in the end, the products are discontinued. For example, Newmark HDX. Well, look, at the end of the day, old gear does get discontinued. It's really as long as it gets supported by the software companies. That it's if it's a controller or something, I think that's the thing that you want to be looking for. A couple of you mentioning the Newmark V7. So Batosai, thank you for mentioning that, and Shaggy, thank you for mentioning the V7 as well, which is a standalone deck. So you had the Newmark, the big kind of Newmark systems with motorized decks on them, so the NS7 and the NS7 2 and 3, but the V7 was the motorized, just the deck, and it was pretty cool. All right then, lots of love for Vestax. I have a pair of Pioneer CDJ 850s. They run in HID mode. They've done the job for over 6 years, coupled with the Rain 62. We don't need new gear, do we, people? Share your first DJ gear with us, by the way, people, down there in the comments. Christian says, my first controller was a BCD 300. Do you remember those, anyone? Those old controllers from Behringer. But there we go. All right then. This is a great topic. There's so many comments. I can no way get to them all, but we will do so. I want to get back to the main camera now, though, because we're going to move on to our second piece of gear. This is our second piece of gear that is still going strong today that you might want to consider. And actually, I've cheated and I've got two, and they are these: the Akai AMX and the AFX. So if I put these on this turntable here and switch to the overhead camera, hopefully I can give you a slightly better look at them. There we go. So there are these two units here. So these are Serato controllers, and I've included these because they're quite rare nowadays. You can't really get anything like this with Serato since these were released. These were released way back in August 2014. So this one here is a controller. It might look like a mixer, but it's a controller. Even though it's got sockets on the back, it's not a standalone mixer in any way, shape or form. You can plug your decks into it and use it as a DVS controller, or you can just use it to control Serato as is. It's got the transport controls on it here, and it's got your bass, mid and treble, and your mixer and your monitors and so on. It's also a sound card. So you can plug your decks into this full DVS with Serato. It's tiny between your decks, but you need Serato plugged in. It's not a standalone mixer, but a very useful and interesting piece of gear there. A lot of people swear by these, especially using them with portable turntables. Yeah, portabilist scratch DJs like these. Then we've got this one, which is the AFX. It's a MIDI controller for Serato, and this has got all the stuff that you would miss if you were using DVS, right? Using DVS, like I've got a DVS set up here with an old mixer. Add this, all of a sudden you've got all the stuff, loops and control over effects and your pad controls and so on. Put these two together, you've got a really powerful and small little Serato setup to add to any decks. So these are the AMX and the AFX modular Serato controllers, and I've included these in old controllers worth having, basically because there are not that many options for that kind of thing with Serato, because no one else has made anything quite like it. I don't think they did that well, but people who've got them love them. Mark in our team was saying on our call earlier that he really loves his AMX and he uses it a lot. So there's a lot of those out there, good little devices. If you can pick one up today, they were new, they were about $250. They're quite hard to get for less than $250. Just, you know, the problems with some of this great old gear is that people know it's great, so it's hard to find, and when you do find it, you don't get a massive discount on it, but you might find a bargain. So that's number 2 in our list of 5 pieces of old gear you might want to consider. Of course, everyone's got their favorites, of course, everyone's got their first controller, and of course, I can only include 5. So in the comments, please do let us know. We will chat away with you there, and we'd love your feedback. Tell us about your most cherished gear. All right then, so we'll do one more before we go back to your comments, and I know there's loads coming in because my screen is going like this over there in the feedback area. So number 3, we're going to go for this. The Pioneer DDJ-SX2 controller. Now this is a really cool controller because it was the last controller of this type from Pioneer, i.e. they now have the SX3. But this was the SX2 that came just before it, and it was the last controller of this type from Pioneer that works with both Rekordbox and Serato. It's designed for Serato, but you plug it into Rekordbox and it will just work. Now that is a bit of a big deal because guess what? Lots of people want that. Lots of people want one controller they can plug in and use with 2 or 3 different types of software. Now it will work with Virtual DJ because everything does, and you could map it to work with Traktor, although you'll struggle with the jog wheels. But really, you've got a controller there that will work with 3, 4 bits of software quite easily. And there's not much of a difference between the SX2 and the SX3. Really, there isn't. Controllers haven't changed that much. They've got everything. It's got everything you could possibly want on it. It's got all the pads on it. It's got really nice Pioneer feel, really nice Pioneer feeling mixer, control over all the effects. A lot more control than you get on the DDJ-1000 SRT, although that has its own benefits. But nonetheless, this is a really complete controller. So if you are looking for something that you can use with Serato, but also have the option for Rekordbox that's pretty much bang up to date and that won't let you down, the DDJ-SX2 is your controller. Price today, again, hasn't dropped too much. You can find really good ones out there, sometimes still brand new, for about $900. So that's the Pioneer DDJ-SX2, following on from the Denon DJ MC-6000, and we're going to include the MC-6000 Mk2 there as well, and the Akai AMX AFX controllers. That makes 3 out of the 5 we've covered that we think are bits of old gear you ought to be having a closer look at even today. Your comments then. Let's see what you're saying about all this stuff. What about the SB3, says Monza. Actually, you're right, the SB3 doesn't work with Rekordbox and Serato, but the SB2 does. So you could get yourself an SB2 there as well, if that's what you are looking for, something to work with both pieces of software, but you can't afford the SX2. John says, I had no idea you were in Gibraltar. I should have paid more attention, I guess. Hey, who cares where we are? We're a global family, aren't we? The MCX8000 can be placed on the list, and my Denon DNS3700 still works like new as well, says Jusani, so thank you for that. All right then, what about the Vestax VCI series, says Ron. They're a great series of controllers. We haven't included them here, but they are great. I love the VCI 300. That was my first controller, but the VCI 100, of course, and the VCI 380, so look out for those. All still good and all still working. My first controller, says Matt, was a Numark Total Control. Remember those people? All right then, I can't believe how many of you are commenting. It's just so difficult to get them all squeezed in, but we'll try our very, very hardest. My first controller, another Total Control one, no sound card on board, but great to learn on, says Nick. Early controllers didn't tend to have sound cards on. You needed a sound card like this. Traktor used to make them. A little sound card that you could just plug into your controller, and then you could use that for your headphones. But nowadays, of course, they all have sound cards in them. All right then, Numark TTX turntables are great buys too. In some ways they surpass Technics, says Shaggy. So thank you for that, Shaggy. And RJ says, my very first piece of gear was a Gemini CDM 4000. This is a great discussion, by the way. I'm loving it because there's so many bits of gear that you're pulling out we've all forgotten about. Kenneth says, my first controller was the American Audio VersaDeck. I still have it as my backup. I love it. The VMS4 was the one before then, wasn't it? Not quite as good because the jog wheels were so strange. They had pullover rubber bits so that you could have nudge as well as scratch. All very weird looking back on this gear. Right, so let's move on because I want to cover the other 2, and I've got to tell you about the competition we've got for you at the end, which you're going to want to know about. So moving back to, here I am, moving back to our 4th thing. So our 4th thing is actually already right here. What is the 4th thing? It is the good old-fashioned Technics 1200 or 1210 in this case, Mark II. It's got Mark II written on it, not the new one, not the Mark 7, but not even the later ones, although they were all right. They were pretty good, some of the later ones. But look, I've gone for the Mark II as the one to beat. So why? Why not buy the new Technics SL1200 and 1210 Mark 7s? They're all right. They're pretty good. They've got problems in loud clubs because they're pretty lightweight and they resonate. But this is the one to beat. It's 41 years old. This came out in August 1978. I was still a kid. You probably weren't born. This is an incredible piece of equipment. It's really rock solid. It does very little, but what it does do, it does well. It was never even intended to be a DJ turntable. It was intended as a hi-fi turntable. But what it does really, really well. It's got its foibles. It's got, you know, they often need servicing to mix things, to fix things that don't work particularly well on them. But for me, you're much better off going for a pair of these 1210 Mark IIs, which you can get a pair of for about $1,000, maybe a bit less. Now take them to a refurb centre, get some nice new covers for them and get them serviced by someone and they will last you decades. And I don't think that the new 1200s Mark 7s will last as long as these have. These ones are from the 80s. I think these are the best bet and they're half the price. You can't really go wrong with any modern turntable that costs a reasonable amount of money. They're all well made, but there's something special about the 1200 and the 1210. The 1200 was the silver one, by the way. This is the grey one that's the 1210. Nowadays, 1200 is Europe and 1210 is America, or the other way around. I never remember which, but that's the differentiation there. So the Technics 1200 and 1210 Mark II are the ones to go for, that were manufactured from 78 up to 2007, something like that. They are the ones to go for sure in our book. So there you go, there's a turntable there, not all about controllers. And number 5 is this. Number 5 is the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mark II. Now, a couple of you say, why aren't you getting all the gear out? Why are you showing pictures? Very, very simple. We are ruthless about what we keep hanging around here at Digital DJ Tips because our studios are so small. So all this stuff is in the warehouse, which is not here. However, we have got our hands-on reviews of all of the gear you've seen today, all of it, apart from the Technics actually. So you can see those hands-on reviews by heading over to Digital DJ Tips, where you will see me walking through all this stuff. So yeah, that's why. Anyway, the Traktor controller we just looked at, it lacks a few things over modern controllers. You will have noticed there were no real hot cues at the bottom. Yeah, they're there, but there's only 4 and they're a bit different to how we have them nowadays. There's also no filters, although you can turn the gain control into a filter and turn auto gain on. So this is a little bit limited, but what it is really professional. It's like a scaled down Traktor Kontrol S4, whereas nowadays the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mark III is more like a beginner controller. It's more like a mixed track. You know, it's that plasticky consumer feel. This feels really professional. So this is like a compact scaled down controller and it's got a lot more features on it than the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mark III has. So I would recommend this if you're looking for a Traktor controller but you don't want an S4, you don't want the size or expense or even 4 channels, you're just happy with 2 channels. And if you pair this up with a say a Traktor Kontrol F1 modular controller, well then you can get back a lot of that functionality that's missing. This originally came out in September 2013, so it's kind of 7 years old now, 6 years old now. But nowadays you can pick these up for about, I would say, $175 more or less when I last had a look. So a bit of a bargain as well. So that's number 5. It's the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mark II if you're looking for a Traktor controller. We tried to cover everything, you know, analog DJing and also Traktor Virtual DJ, Serato and Record Box in this roundup. So let's quickly run through our 5 one more time, then we'll get some comments and then I'll tell you all about the competition. So number 5, they were in no particular order, was the Denon DJ MC-6000 and the 6000 Mark II. Number 4 was the Akai AMX and AFX modular Serato controllers because there's not many of this kind of thing around. Number 3 was the Pioneer DJ DDJ-SX2 because it works with Serato and Record Box and it's just like the SX3 in most other respects. Number 2 was the Technics 1200s because we just love them, but of course the Mark IIs, not the Mark 7s. And number 1 was the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mk2, again in no particular order, although I did strangely do that like a countdown, didn't I? But no, you know, depending on what you're looking for. So there you go, some food for thought. You don't always need new DJ gear. Things aren't changing so fast that the old stuff isn't still worth having and worth using. All right then, back to your comments. So I'm going to start at the most recent comments and see how many I can fit in the 10 minutes we've got left. Would you no longer worried about the S2 no longer being supported hardware? It's still supported in Traktor, absolutely fine. So no problem with that, Treo. I got my S4 Mark 1 on Facebook for £90, says Mark, quite fittingly over on Facebook. The S2 Mark 2 is brilliant, says Chloe. It's got all the controls you need for professional mixing. I'm surprised you didn't mention that any old CDJs, they last quite a long time. Yeah, let's mention it now. Any old CDJs, people, especially if you're using them with DVS. You don't need the modern Nexus 2s and all that kind of stuff. Any old CDJs, especially as you say, using them for DVS, they're just going to work and work. So thank you for that. Denon DJ-SX2 says Timothy. Thank you for that, Timothy. A great little box to have is a DBX Go Rack, says Nick. It's about $80. You can do a lot of things with it, but one thing you can do is put balanced XLRs on any bit of kit that might not have them. So that's a great little tip from Nigel there. Thank you, Nigel, for sharing that with us. Did Phil just say he doesn't have all the controllers in the studio, says James? Nonsense. With the amount of random controllers Phil just whipped out from under that desk over the years, I bet there's every controller ever released, plus a dozen more in the studio. Trust me, they're not. They're in the warehouse. We just haven't got room to keep them all here, James. I do like to keep as many as I can, though. All right, then. So Armando says, I recently taught someone to DJ on that Traktor Kontrol S2. He didn't have anything else and didn't know how to DJ to save his life. This gear, despite being old, is certainly not obsolete. He learnt the basics of beat matching and making a transition in one day and setting hot cues as well. So that's cool. DJ GQ on YouTube says, I had a pair of silver 1200 Mark IIs, paid about 300 a piece, brand new back in '89, sold them in '02 and went with the 1210 M3Ds. Other than the hinges, I haven't missed the Mark IIs a bit, yeah, but the Mark IIIs are pretty good as well. I agree with you. You know, it's only when you get up to the Mark 7, the new built to cost one, that we start to have issues with the Technics turntables, to be completely fair about that. But it's just that the Mark IIs are everywhere, right? All right then. James says, I feel like most early controllers in the series, e.g. the SB2, SR, SX2 to name a few, are still well worth buying and still have the very relevant features that you'd want on a controller. And funnily enough, the three you've mentioned there, James, all work with Rekordbox and Safari, one of the big things people want, right? All right then, a couple more comments. I remember the 1200 Mark 1, says Steve. No pitch control. Some BBC local radio stations had them. Wow, that's an awesome memory there. Michael says, this is a great topic, isn't it just? My Technics SL1210s are like 32 years old. They're built like tanks, says Michael, indeed. All right then, so we are talking about your first DJ gear, the DJ gear that's still worth buying today as well, that maybe is looking a bit old, but actually is really worth having. We've covered all kinds of stuff today. If you've just joined us now, watch the replay and you'll see all that gear. Even the old needles are perfect these days, says Wolfgang. An old Autophon Nightclub Mark 1 is still more than great, or even the cheaper Concord Pro stylus is very good today, even for timecode control. I'd say definitely for timecode control, because you don't really need the best for that, do you? If we're talking old school gear, Mixed Vibes used to make DVS systems too. I remember that. We've got one of the old Mixed Vibes DVS sound cards down here somewhere. I know you keep saying, oh, these things Phil whips out. He must have everything there, but I'm not joking. There you go, an old Mixed Vibes DVS controller. So there you go. But that was just luck. Just luck that I had there, Armando. That there, Armando, I promise you. All right then. Twitch Novation, says Proper Bow. I love the Novation Twitch. I thought it was a great controller. All right then. And finally, Martin says the DDJ SR works with both Rekordbox and Serato. Yes, but the SR2 doesn't, if I'm not wrong. Okay, look, I promised a competition for you. Let's go back to the main cameras to talk about the competition we've got for you today, or rather the prize draw, because it's a really, really special one. So what we've got for you today is talking about new controllers and modern controllers. You know what this is? This is a DDJ-200 from Pioneer, a really great little beginner controller, just for getting started on. It's got software that works on your iPad or your iPhone, or you can plug it in and use it with rekordbox, which is supplied with it onto your main computer. So you've got all kinds of options with this, but it also works with our algorithms DJ, and it also works with eDJing mix on mobile devices. So the idea of this is you just plug it in and use it. It's got a little splitter cable, so you can use headphones and speakers as well, because it doesn't have a sound card. It's a fun little starter controller and a great backup controller as well, and maybe a travel controller. So this is a nice little device. We've got 2 of these to give away, but on top of that, we've also got this. We've got from, especially for you guys, from Beatport, 6 months membership of Beatport Link. Now, Beatport Link is Beatport's new subscription streaming service that plugs into WeDJ, which is the software for this controller that runs on your iOS device, but also you can use it in rekordbox on your laptop with this controller. So we're going to give you one of these controllers. We've got 2 to give away, and 6 months subscription to Beatport Link, so you can try Beatport's streaming service. And the good thing about Beatport's streaming service is it's legal for club use, and you can download a number of songs onto your computer so that you don't need an internet connection when you're DJing with it. So it's pretty cool. And all you got to do to enter the draw to win those 2 items is go to djtips.co/win200. You see what we did there? DDJ200. So djtips.co win 200, and you enter the draw there. If you're already a member, or you click on one of our emails, it'll just enter you. If you're not, you'll have to put your email in, and that's it. We'll be drawing the draw in time for next week's Tuesday Tips Live, so tune in next week to find out if you're one of the lucky winners. Meanwhile, I am heading over to Amsterdam for the ADE Amsterdam dance event. I think we've still got our ADE beer mats from last time. I'll be trying to get some new ones in the new design, but the old beer mats are still brilliant, by the way. If you've still got the old ones, use them. They're cool. You know, old gear is sometimes as good as the new gear. And on that rather lame joke, I'll be leaving you. Remember, get good, get out there, make the moments. We are Digital DJ Tips. We love to teach DJing. Come on this journey with us, and come on the journey with me to ADE, because I'll be reporting on the website from ADE next week, or the rest of this week. So keep an eye on our channels. I'll see you very soon. So from all of us here at Digital DJ Tips, until next time, see you later.